Hey guys, welcome again to the Maths Club. If you are just joining us, so welcome. This will be the concluding video on our series on sequence and series. We started with what is a sequence and series, moved to arithmetic progression, sum of an arithmetic series, moved to geometric progression, sum of a geometric series, and now we're looking at the WAEC past questions from 2014-2023 to consolidate all that we have learned so far on sequence and series. So if you've not seen any of those videos, you want to look at the playlist in the description and follow the video from the beginning to be able to get everything that we have done so far. Without further ado, let's get started. So this first question is actually not a WAEC question. It's a question I saw somewhere that I felt to be very, very helpful and would help us understand things that are going on in sequence and series. And it says that in an increasing sequence of 10 consecutive integers, the sum of the first 5 integers is 560. What is the sum of the last 5 integers in the sequence? So what are we given? We know that it is an increasing sequence of 10 consecutive integers. So the first integer was x, second integer will be x plus 1, third will be x plus 2, fourth will be x plus 3, fifth will be x plus 4, sixth would be x plus 5, seventh will be x plus 6, 8th will be x plus 7, 9th will be x plus 8, and 10th would be x plus 9, right? We're told that by the time I had all of these guys, right, which is the first 5, like that would be from x to this x4, right? So if I add from year to year, telling me that the sum would be 560, so that would be x plus x plus x plus x plus, that would be 5x, plus 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10. So 5x plus 10 is equal to 560. This is what we are told, right? So we can find x already. So we can say 5x is equal to 560 minus 10. So 5x will be equal to 550, right? And if I divide both sides by 5, our x is equal to 110. We know this now. Now that we know this first guy, so we can find the sum of the other 5, right? So this is also x plus x plus x plus, that will be 5x, right? So 5x plus 5 plus 6 is 11, 11 plus 7 is 18, 18 plus 8 is 26, 26 plus 9 is 35. So what we're looking for is 5x plus 35. That will be the sum of the other 5. So I know that my x is 110, so also that will be 5 open brackets 110 plus 35. So 5 times 110 is 550, and then plus 35, that will be what? 585. Let's see if our answer is correct. So that will be option A. Great. So the next question says that we should find the 17th term of an arithmetic progression minus 6, minus 1, and 4. This take it from June 2022. So let's solve it together. What are we given in this question? Let's start with the given. We're told that we should find the 17th term, but we're given some values from the arithmetic progression. So we can see that the first term, which is a, is minus 6, right? And we can see if I say d is like t2 second term minus the first term. So the second term is minus 1. You can say minus 1, and the first term is minus 6. So that will be minus 6, right? So minus 1 minus times minus is plus, so plus 6, right? So you're owing somebody 1 naira, you give the person 6 naira, of course the person will give you a change of 5 naira, right? So we know our a, we know our d. Our formula for arithmetic progression Cn is a plus n minus 1 d. So let's substitute. So I'm trying to find the t17, right? So our a is minus 6 plus our n is 17, so that is 17 minus 1, and then our d is 5, so times 5. So minus 6 plus 17 minus 1 is 16, so 16 times 5, and that will be minus 6 plus 16 times 5, that will give you 80, right? So minus 6 plus 80, you have 8 naira, you go and buy something of 6 naira, of course you'll be left with 74 naira. Let's see if our answer is correct. So that will be option C. Great. The next question says that given that 7 minus 2x, 9, 5x plus 17 are consecutive terms of a geometric progression with a common ratio r greater than 0, that means it's positive, right? Find the value of x. Now what are we given? We're told that one of the terms, so we could say one of the terms is 7 minus 2x, the other term is 9, and the last term is 5x plus 7. They didn't tell us that this is actually the first term, just the second. They just said these three guys are consecutive terms of a GP. So it could be maybe the 7th to the 9th, it could be the 1st to the 3rd, so we don't know that. But what we know is that we can find the ratio, right? So if this guy is the nth term, this guy is, okay, let's say if this guy is nth term, we don't know what the n is, so this guy will be Tn plus 1, right? So if this one is T7, this will be T8, right? And this guy will be what? Tn minus 1, right? So I know that the r is like saying this guy divided by this guy, also this guy to divided by this guy to give me the same value, since they are consecutive terms of a geometric progression. So that means that I could say 5x, or let me write the formula. I could say Tn plus 1 divided by Tn, right? It would also be the same thing as if I do Tn divided by Tn minus 1. So if any of this is actually strange, you want to check the playlist and see where we actually talked on geometric progression. This is like the summary. We're trying to summarize and try to solve more questions to consolidate our knowledge. Now, we know Tn plus 1 to be 5x plus 17, so I'll just replace this 5x plus 17 divided by Tn is 9 is equal to Tn is 9 over Tn minus 1, that is 7 minus 2x, right? What else do we know? So we could cross multiply. So if I cross multiply this guy, I'll be having 5x plus 17, right? And we'll be multiplying 7 minus 2x is equal to 9 multiplying 9, so that will be 9 times 9, right? We can expand this bracket and say 5x times 7, so that will give us 35x. 5x times minus 2, that will give us minus 10x squared. 17 times 7, if you do a calculator, that should give you plus 119, if my mathematics is still correct. So 17 times minus 2x, that will give us minus 34x is equal to 9 times 9, that will give us 81, right? 81. So let's just rearrange and take like terms. Now we can reduce this further and say this is like saying 35 minus 34x, that's like saying x, right? 35 minus 34, I mean, is 1 times x. So what else we have? We have minus 10x squared, then plus 119 is equal to 81, right? So next I want to do that, let's create like terms. So that will be x minus 10x squared plus 119 minus 81 is equal to 0. So it's like saying x minus 10x squared plus 119 minus 81. So this should be plus 38 is equal to 0, right? So I mean, this is like a quadratic equation. I know we've not treated quadratic equation, but still follow through. Now we can rearrange in quadratic equation. Where it's like the x squared to be first, then the x, then the number. So that will be minus 10x squared plus x plus 38 is equal to 0, right? So just rearranged it. Now in quadratic equation, once again, we join the first and the last value together, right? And then we multiply. So there are different methods. There's almighty formula, there's different, but I mean the basic method. So 38 times minus 10x squared, that will give you minus 380x squared. So we need to look for two things. That when we multiply it, it will give us minus 380x squared, and when we add them to give us this x in the middle, right? So I mean 380, so I could say maybe 38x and 10x. 38x and 10x, if I multiply them, or let me say minus 10x, 38x times minus, if I add both of them together, it will give me 28x, which is very far from what I need. So at least we have a starting point. This 38x, if I divide it by 2, so that will be, let's say 19x, Abby, and I multiply this one by, that will be minus 20x. So 19x and 20x, if you do your calculation, you see that will give you minus 380, right? But if I had these two guys, 19x minus 20x, this will give us minus x, but what we need is plus x. If I swap the positive and negative, that will be minus 19x and 20x. So minus 19x plus 20x will give us plus x, and if I multiply these two, it will give us minus. So these are the two numbers that we're going to use to replace. So where we have x, we replace it with these two numbers. It's the same thing. We're basically saying the same thing. So that will be minus 10x squared plus 20x minus 19x plus 38 is equal to 0. So I just replace this one with 20x minus 19x. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to collect like terms, right? We'll collect like terms from these two guys. we collect like terms from these two guys, because we have 4 guys here now. So we collect what's like them in this 2. What's like them in this 2? What is like them in this 2? If I remove minus, or should I remove minus? Let me remove minus. What is common in both of them? So I mean, this is 10x squared, this 20. So I could say 10x is common in both of them. So 10x squared divided by 10x, that will give me 10 will cancel 10. One of the x will go, so it will remain minus x, right? And you can try that out. 20x divided by 10x will give me 2, so plus 2, right? Because if I say 20x, 10x, x will cancel x, 10 will cancel here, that will give you 2. So I'm done with these first two guys. Then I'll come to these next two guys. What's common in both of them? 19 and 19. 19 can go in 30, 19 can go in 19x. So I'll just factor, so that'll be plus 19, right? Minus 19x squared divided by 19, it will only remain minus x. Then plus 38 divided by plus 19, that will remain plus 2 is equal to 0. So let's group. I'll group these two guys. So that will be 10x plus 19 and minus x plus 2 is equal to 0, right? The only way you can have a multiplication like this and then the product will be 0 is if one of the number is 0, right? So if I have 5 times 0, this will give me 0. If I have 0 times 5, this will give me 0. Only when one of the numbers is 0 that we will ever have 0 as a final answer. You can try it out, right? So that means either this guy is 0 or this guy is 0. So that will be either 10x plus 19 is equal to 0 or minus x plus 2 is equal to 0. So let's create like terms. So that will be 10x. This guy will come over here. So that will be minus 19. X will be equal to minus 19 over 10. Or this guy minus x is equal to minus plus 2 will come over here. That will become what? Minus 2. If I divide both sides by minus, our x is equal to 2. Great. So our x is minus 19 over 10, or x is equal to 2. Well done to everyone. Now the next question is saying that we should find the fifth term of the sequence 2, 5, 10, 17. Now what do you notice? The difference between these two guys is 3. The difference between these two guys is 5. The difference between these two guys is 7, right? Can you see the pattern? Take a moment, pause the video and try it if you can see the pattern. Welcome back. So what do you notice between these two guys? Is as if the difference is increasing by 2. So this guy, difference here was 3, difference here was 5, difference here was 7. So of course I'm assuming that the next value, the difference would be 9, right? So 17 plus 9 is 26. So that means the next value here should be 26. And instead we should find the fifth term. This is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So that means our value or our answer here is actually 26. Let's see if we're correct. So that should be option D. Great. Now the next question is saying that the third term and the ninth term of an arithmetic progression are 4m minus 2n and 2m minus 8n respectively. Express the common difference in terms of m and n. What are we given? We are given t3 to be equal to 4m minus 2n, and we are given t9 to be 2m minus 8n. We are told to find the common difference, which is d. We know our general formula, which is tn to be equal to a plus n minus 1d. So that means that the t3 will be equal to a plus 3 minus 1d, which is like saying t3 is equal to a plus 2d. Also, we know that the ninth term, which is t9, will now be equal to a plus, so let me make this one 9, a plus 9 minus 1d, which is like saying a plus 8d. So we know this t9 and we know this guy. So let's substitute. So we say t3. Our t3, we're given t3 to be 4m minus 2n. So let's substitute. Say our t3 is a plus 2d, right? And that value is equal to what? 4m minus 2n, right? A plus 2d, 4m minus 2n. And then our t9, right? Our t9 is a plus 8d. So this is a plus 8d is equal to 2m minus 8n. Most of these questions are very similar to what we've solved in the previous video leading to this particular WAEC question. So if you've not seen any of those videos, I encourage you once again to check the playlist and start from the beginning and watch it up to the particular point where we're talking about the WAEC past questions. So this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So let's see, what do we do in these situations as we did in those previous videos? We take the subtraction, or I mean, so it's best we subtract, because I want to if I subtract, these a's will go, right? If I say a minus a, I mean, a will be out of the game. We'll be left with only d, m, and n, and that's very good. So we could say equation 1 minus equation 2. So a minus a, this will give me 0, plus 2d minus 8d. So you have 2 naira, but you go and buy something of 8 naira. Of course, I want the person 6 naira, so that will be minus 6d is equal to 4m minus 2m. That will be 2m minus 2n. So let me write this down: minus 2n minus 8n. So this is like saying minus 2n plus 8n, right? This will give you 6n, so plus 6n, right? If I rewrite this, so this will be 0 plus anything is just that thing. So this is minus 6d is equal to 2m plus 6n, right? If you look at this, I can factor out 2 from this guy. There's 2 here and then there's a factor of 2 here. So if I say 2 open bracket, 2m divided by 2, that will give you m, plus 6n divided by 2, that will give what? 3n, right? So we still have minus 6d. So to make this stand alone, I'll divide both sides by minus 6, right? This will cancel this. 2 here 1, 2 here 3, right? So what I have basically is, I could write this and say, I mean, is minus, I could bring the minus up, I could say minus 1 over 3, right? M plus 3n. Alternatively, I could have said minus bracket m plus 3n all over 3, right? Still the same thing, but you need to know that the brackets here is very, very, very important. Let's see if our answer is actually correct. Great. Minus 1 over 3 m plus 3n. Now the next question says, if 6, p and 14 are consecutive terms of an arithmetic progression, find the value of p. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself. Welcome back. Let's solve it together. So we know that 6, p and 14 are consecutive. We don't know if the 6 is the first or the p is the, or is the last, or of course it could not be the last, right? Or maybe it's the third or the fifth or something. We don't know that they're consecutive terms of an AP, right? But we know one thing is binding 3 of them a common difference. So just like I did for that geometric progression, if this is Tn, this would be Tn plus 1, and this would be what? Tn minus 1. But instead of saying divided by, this time we'll be looking at difference. So the d is the same thing as, if I say this is Tn plus 1 minus Tn. The d also is the same thing as saying Tn minus what? Tn minus 1. So this guy minus this guy, or this guy minus this guy, to give me the same thing. So if d is both of these guys, I could say Tn plus 1 minus Tn is equal to Tn minus Tn minus 1, right? So what did I just do? So if this is equal to this guy and this also equals to this guy, that means these two guys must actually be equal, right? That's why I said this guy is equal to this other guy. So let's substitute. Our Tn plus 1 is 14. So 14 minus our Tn is p is equal to our Tn is p minus our Tn minus 1 is what? 6. So let me carry like terms. Let me put all the p's to this side. So that will be minus p is equal to minus 6. Carry this 14 to this. That will be minus 14. Minus p, right? You're owing somebody 1 naira. Yeah, so you come again to buy something of 1 naira again on credit. So you're the person minus 2 naira. So minus 2p. Minus 6 minus 14, same logic. That will be minus 20. I can divide both sides by minus 2. And if I divide both sides by minus, this will cancel this guy. This guy will cancel this guy. So you'll be left to 10. So our p is equal to 10. Let's see if we're correct. So that will be option B. Great. The next question says that the fourth term of an arithmetic progression is 37 and the first term is minus 20. Find the common difference. I want you to pause this video and try it out yourself. Welcome back. Let's solve it together. So what are we given? We're told that the fourth term, which is T4, is equal to 37 and the first term, which is A, is equal to minus 20. Right? So we should find the common difference, which is D. So we know our formula for arithmetic progression is Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 D. So our T4 will be equal to A plus 4 minus 1 D, right? So our T4 will be equal to what? A plus 3 D. So our T4 is 37, our A is minus 20, and then plus 3D. We don't have our D because that's what we're trying to find. So minus 20 to the other side, that will be 37 plus 20 is equal to 3D. 37 plus 20, that will give us 57. 57 is equal to 3D, right? If I divide both sides by 3, I'll be able to find what D is. So this will cancel this, this will cancel this. You'll be left with what? You'll be left with 19, right? So our D is actually equal to 19. Let's see if we're correct. That should be option C. Great. So the next question says that the third and the sixth term of a geometric progression are 1/4 and 1/32 respectively. We should find the first term and the common ratio, the 7th term. So let's solve it together. What are we given? We are told that the third term, which will be T3, is 1/4, and the sixth term, which is T6, is 1/32. Right? We're told to find the A, the R, and then the T7. What we know from this T3, our T3 is equal to AR squared, right? And I could replace that and say this is equal to 1/4. So let's say this is equation 1. Our T6, from what we already know from the general equation, this will be AR5, right? And this will be 1/32. So let's this is equation 2. Great. So when I have this, is multiplication here, multiplication. If I want to get rid of this A here, I have to divide. So if I say dividing, I mean, it could be anyone. I could say equation 1 by 2, but let me say equation 2 by equation 1, right? Because it's a bit easier. So that would be AR5 divided by AR2 is equal to 1/32 divided by 1/4. So if I wanted to do this, I could just break down and say A will cancel A, R squared will go, so this will remain 3. So this will be R cube is equal to 1/32. This division, I can turn it to multiplication and say times 4/1, right? If that is the case, I can also divide and say this 4 here 1, 4 here 8. So what I have here is R cube is equal to 1/8. So if I want to find R, right, I have to take the cube root of both sides. So if I take the cube root of 1/8, only one thing that I can multiply 3 times will actually give me 1/8. The cube root of 1 is 1, and then the cube root of 8 is 2. So our R is 1/2. We found one of the things the question said we should find. Now I want to find A. I already know that my AR squared is equal to 1/4, and I have my R already, so I can substitute and find my A. Is that not it? Great. So I could say from equation 1, right, which is AR squared is equal to 1/4, I'll substitute R in its Abi. So what is our R is 1/2. So that would be A multiplied by 1/2 all squared is equal to 1/4, right? And that's like saying A times 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, is equal to 1/4. If I want to make A stand, I can divide both sides by 1/4, also divide this side by 1/4. So this will cancel this. So this will be A is equal to 1/4 divided by 1/4. Or I could also say this is equal to 1/4 times 4/1, right? So if you cancel, this will cancel. So of course our A is equal to 1, right? We know our A, we know our R. The last thing I want to find is our 7th term, which is T7. So I know that from the general equation, let me say Tn is equal to AR n minus 1. Our T7 will be equal to what? AR 7 minus 1, or just like you rightly said, which is AR 6, right? We know our A, we know our R. So substituting, that will be 1 times 1/2 raised to the power of 6, right? 1 times 1 to the power of 6 is 1, 2 to the power of 6, that was 2 to the power of 5 is 32, so 32 times 2, that would be 64. So 1 times 1/64 is 1/64. So this is all of the answers. We can just say therefore A is equal to 1, R is equal to 1/2, and then T7 is equal to 1/64. Let's see if we are correct. Great, our A is 1, R is 1/2, and T7 is 1/64. Well done. The next question says that we should find the nth term of the sequence 2 times 3, 4 times 6, 8 times 9, 16 times 12. So what do we notice here? This first guy, this is like saying 2 times 1. This second guy, at least the 4 of these guys, like saying 2 times 2, right? This third guy is like saying 2 times 2 times 2. This other guy is like saying 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? So if you notice something, this in the first guy, I could also write and say this like saying 2 raised to the power of 1. I could write and say 2 raised to the power of 2, 2 raised to the power of 3, 2 raised to the power of 4. Do you agree with me? So when this, remember, this is the first guy, this is the second guy, this is the third guy, and this is the fourth guy, right? So in the first guy, this first one is like saying 2 raised to the power of n, right? Because 2 raised to the power of 1, 2 raised to the power of 2, 2 raised to the power of 3, 2 raised to the power of 4. So we know this follows. Now what is this? This is like saying 3 times 1, Abi. This is like saying 3 times 2. This is like saying 3 times 3. This is also like saying 3 times 4. So what happens is, in the first guy I had 3 times 1, second guy 3 times 2, third guy 3 times 2. So also this is like saying times 3n, right? So if the n is 1, this will be 2 times 3. If the n is 2, this will be 4 times 6. If the n is 3, this will be 8 times 9. So this should be the nth term of this particular sequence. Let's see if we're correct. So out of all these options, the only option that tallies with ours is option B, and that should be our answer. Great. Now the next question is saying that we should find the sixth term of the sequence 2 over 3, 7 over 15, 4 over 15. Now what you note about this question is that we don't know if it's an AP or a GP, but we can say, so if it's an AP, there will be a common difference between these guys. So let me see. So if I say the D, let me say this is like 3, 2, 1. So this is the first term, second term. So D should be T3 minus T2. Let's see. So this is 4 over 15 minus 7 over 15. Right? Because they share the same denominator. That will be 15. 15 here 1 times 4. That is 4. 15 here 1 times 7. That is 7. So that is minus 3 over 15. Okay. So let's also see if the difference between T2 and T1 will also be minus 3 over 15. Or I could say minus 1 over 5. I think that's better. So that's minus 1 over 5. Let's see if it will be the same thing. So the D of T2 minus T1. So this is 7 over 15 minus 2 over 3. Right? So the LCM here is 15. 15 in 15, 1 times 7, 7. 15 in 3, 5. 5 times 2, 10. So this is also minus 3 over 15, which is the same thing as saying minus 1 over 5. So we know that for sure it is an arithmetic progression. So for an AP, the general formula for Tn is A plus n minus 1d. So if you want to find the sixth term, that will be T6. So T6 will be equal to A plus 6 minus 1d, right? So this is saying A plus 5d. So we know our A from this question to be what? 2 over 3, right? So 2 over 3 plus 5 times the D. We found the D to be minus 1 over 5. So 5 here 1, 5 here 1. So what we have here is 2 over 3 plus minus 1, right? Same thing as saying 2 over 3 minus 1. So let's see. So this will be 3. 3 in 3 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Minus this seems to say 1 divided by 1. 3 in 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. So 2 minus 3, right? This is minus 1 over 3. That means that the T6 for this particular question is actually minus 1 over 3. Let's see if we're correct. So from these options, our answer should be option A, and that is option A. Great. The next question says that if the sixth term of an arithmetic progression is 37 and the sum of the first 6 terms is 147, find the first term and the sum of the first 15 terms. So what are we given? We are told that the sixth term, that is T6, is what? 37. I was told that the sum of the first 6 terms is 147. We are told to find A, and we are told to find S of the first 15. So this is what we know. So from this guy, we know that T6 is equal to, from a formula, you know that it will be A plus 5D, right? I don't need to show that again. So this is equal to 37, right? So let's this is equation 1. So for the sum of the first 6, we know that the formula for sum is what? We know that it to be n over 2 open brackets A plus L, right? Where L is the last term. So this for the sum of the first 6, right? Our n would be 6 over 2. Do we know the A? We don't know the A plus. Do we know the last term, which will be the sixth term? We know the sixth term to be 37, so that will be A plus 37, right? I know that this sum is equal to 147. So if I divide, this is 2 here 1, 2 here 3. Right, so what I have is 3 open brackets A plus 37 is equal to 147. So if the first thing I can do to isolate this A is to divide both sides by 3. So if I divide this by 3 and divide this place by 3, 3 will cancel 3. 3 here 1, 3 here 4, right? Remainder 2. So 3 here 9. So A plus 37 is equal to 49. So that means our A will be equal to 49 minus 37, which should be equal to 12. So our A is equal to 12, right? How do we just use the formula for sum, n over 2, and we are told that the sum of the first 6, that means from the T1 to T6 is this guy. So that means the last term in that case will be the T6, and we've given us, so we just substituted and then we did a bit of manipulation. Now we know our A to be 12, right? So we want to find the sum of the first 15, right? So if you want to find the sum of the first 15, if I use this formula, That means I need to know what the 15th term is, right? Because I mean the L will be T15. So for T15 is A plus 14D, right? We know the A, but do we know the D? No, we don't. But we have this equation here. I could say from equation 1, right, which is A plus 5D is equal to 37, right? Our A is equal to 12, so that will be 12 plus 5D is equal to 37, right? So I mean 5D will be equal to 37 minus 12, right? If you subtract this, our 5D will be equal to what? Great, will be equal to 25. So our D will be equal to 5, right? Divide both sides by 5. So we know our A to be 12 and then our D to be 5, right? So if you want to find the sum of the first 15, remember we have two formulas. I could use n over 2 open brackets A plus L, also just like we said in the video for sum of arithmetic series, we said, or we could use n over 2 open bracket 2a plus n minus 1d, and you saw how I was able to move from this formula to that other formula. So I think I already just used the other formula. So that would be n over 2 open brackets 2a plus n minus 1d, right? So our n is 15 divided by 2 times our a is 12 plus 15 minus 1, our d is 5. So this is 15 divided by 2 open brackets 2 times 12 is 24 plus 15 minus 1, that is 14 times 5, right? So this is something as saying 15 divided by 2 open brackets 24 plus 15 times 5. What would that give you if you use a calculator? That will give you 70, right? So this is like saying 15 divided by 2 times 24 plus 70, that will give you 94, right? So you can use the calculator to just finish up this. So this will be 15 times 94 divided by 2, and that will give you 705. So that means the sum of the first 15 terms is 705. We know our A to be equal to 12, our D to be equal to 5, and then our S15 to be equal to 705. So let's see if we are correct. So our A is 12 and then our S15 is 705. So the next question says that we should find the next three terms of the sequence 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. I want you to pause the video and try this out yourself if you can see any pattern. Welcome back. So what do we notice? We notice here that if I had these two, that would be 0 plus 1, I'll have 1, right? Which is this guy, which is the next value. If I had these two, 1 plus 1, I'll have 2, which is the next guy. If I had these two guys, 1 plus 2, I'll have 3, which is the next guy. If I had these two, I'll have 5, which is the next guy. If I had these two, I would have 8, which is the next guy. If I had these two, I would have 13, which is the next guy. So if I have 8, if I have 5 8, right, that means the next guy should be 13, right? And the next guy should be the sum of the previous two, which would be 21. 8 plus 13, 21. The next guy should be 13 plus 21, which should be 34, right? So this is how we should find the next three terms. So that means the next three terms will be 13, 21, and 34. Let's see if we're correct. So that will be option D. Great. So the next question says that we should find the sum of the arithmetic progression 1, 3, 5, some numbers in between, and then last number is 101. So what is our equation for this? We know equation for the sum Sn is equal to n over 2 open brackets the first term plus the last term, right? We have the first term, we have the last term, but do we know the n? We don't know the n, but we know the d. If it's an arithmetic progression, I mean the d can just be, if I say the given, we're given the a to be 1, I can say the d is like t2 minus t1, right, which is like 3 minus 1, which is 2. So we know the d, we know the last number to be 101. Given all of these things, we can be able to find what's the n, what will be the nth term that the value is 101. Let's see. Our formula for Tn is a plus n minus 1 d, right? So if the Tn, which is the last guy, is 101, and then our a is 1, we don't know the n, so n minus 1, and then our d is 2, right? So this would be 101 is equal to 1 plus n times 2 is 2n, minus 1 times 2 is minus 2. So it's like 101 is equal to 1 minus 2 is minus 1, so minus 1 plus 2n. If I carry this minus 1 to the other side, that will be 101 plus 1 is equal to 2n. And if we do 101 plus 1, we're going to have 102. So it's like saying 102 is equal to 2n. If I divide both sides by 2, I'll find what n is. My n is equal to 51. Now that I know that the n is 51, I can now find the sum. I know the n, I know the a, I know the l. So if I substitute into this formula, right, that will be 51 divided by 2, open bracket, the a is 1, so that will be 1, plus the last value is 101. So this is like saying 51 divided by 2 times 102, and that will give you 2601. So 2601. So by the time we found the sum of this arithmetic sequence, we found the value to be 2601. Let's see if our value is correct. Great. So the next question says that we should find the seventh term of the sequence 2, 5, 10, 17, 26. Let's see if this is an arithmetic sequence, or if it's a geometric sequence, or if it's just a normal sequence. What do we see here? This is 2, this is 5, so the difference is 3. This 5, this 10, the difference is 5. This 10, this 17, difference is 7. This 17, this 26, difference is 9. Pause the video and try to see if you can see any relationship between them. Welcome back. The difference between these two guys is 3. The difference between these two guys is 5. The difference between these two guys is 7. The difference between these two guys is 9. Of course, so if this is the first, this is second, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth, this is how we should find the seventh. So we need 6 and 7. So the sixth term would just be, if you notice, the difference between each of these guys is just 2, 2, 2. So that means that the next guy I'll have to add 11, right, to this 26, and for the other guy I'll have to add 13. So 26 plus 11, so this 6 will be 26 plus 11, right? 26 plus 11 is 37. Our T7, which is the seventh term, will be 37 plus what? Plus 13, right? Based on this relationship, and that will be equal to, if you add 37 to 13, you would have 50. So that means the seventh term in this question should be 50. Let's see if our answer is correct. So that should be option C. Great. The next question says that the first term of an arithmetic progression is minus 8. The ratio of the seventh term to the ninth term is 5:8. Find the common difference of the AP. Let's solve this together. So what are we given? That's the most important thing. We're told that the first term, A, is equal to minus 8. We're told that the ratio of the 7 to the ninth term, so if we say T7, ratio like saying divided by T9, right, is equal to 5 divided by 8. So if you have a ratio, you can do it like this. And next we should find the common difference, which is D. What do we know about T7? T7 is from the formula, this will be A plus 6D, Abi? And then T9 will be what? A plus what? 8D. Great. So if I substitute it and I say A plus 6D all over A plus 8D is equal to 5 over 8. If I cross multiply, that will be 8 multiplied by A plus 6D is equal to 5, open brackets, A plus 8D, right? If I expand this bracket, this will be 8 times A, which is 8A, 8 times 6D, which is plus 48D, 5 times A, which is 5A, 5 times 8D, which is what? 40D. Now I'm trying to find this. Let me make this over the formula. So that will be 48D minus 40D is equal to 5A minus 8A. Right, so 48D minus 40D will give me 8D. 5A minus 8A will give me minus 3A. We already know the value of A already. A has been told that it is minus 8 from the question, so I can substitute. So that will be 8D is equal to minus 3 times the A, which is minus 8. So if I want to make the D stand alone, I can divide both sides by 8. So if I divide this place by 8 and divide this place by 8, 8 will cancel 8 here. This will be minus 1. 8 will cancel 8 here. So D will be equal to minus 3 times minus 1 is 3. So basically our D is 3 in this particular question. Let's see if we're correct. Great, our D is 3. And the last question from June 2014 says that we should find the number of terms in this arithmetic progression 2 minus 9 minus 20, some values in between, and minus 141. I want you to try this out by yourself. And when you do, you'll see that your answer would be option D. That means the number of terms here is 14. Make sure you try this out by yourself. Alright, and we've come to the end of the WAEC past question on sequence and series. In the next video, we'll be starting a brand new concept, and the concept is about sets. See you there.